Hi, welcome everybody to a wonderful discussion. And I'm very excited that for the first time live on Substack, I have Annelise Lords, who is an amazing writer and author, and she's also an editor with Dancing Elephant Press. So today we are going to talk about a really important topic, poverty. And we are going to talk about this book that we both have and cherish. And we both wrote it together with many other people. And it's called The Invisible Lines of Poverty. So I'm just going to hand it over to Annalise because she has a lot of experience and she wrote some amazing stories in here about poverty. And if you want to share your views, what does poverty mean to you and what you have seen in your country?
Well, for me, poverty is pain,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not the kind of pain I wish on anyone. Having lived it and tasted it, I wish it on no one. But
Yeah.
I think it's not going to stop. Charities and all the organizations who are helping and finding ways, it's not helping. Children are still, in my culture, children are still going to their beds hungry. Children are still suffering. But personally, for me, I think that if it becomes personal, where every
Mm-hmm.
individual decided that, you know what, I'm not going to be poor. I'm going to find ways to stop it. For me, that's one of the ways it's going to stop because we need unity. And giving everybody a helping hand every time, it's not enough. They have to want it. Because for me, it's something that I didn't want. As a child, it is so painful not knowing if you're going to eat.
Yeah.
It's painful going to school without breakfast and praying that when you go home for lunch, dinner is there. I live close to school, so I could walk home and get lunch. And sometimes you go there and there's no lunch, and you go home. And they said children doesn't learn on empty stomach. They're wrong, because I did, and thousands of other children did. I have sisters and brothers. We didn't have a choice. We go to school hungry or not. We had to learn. I hate poverty. For me, I think it divides us and render a lot of us weak. And I hate how people are treated when they're poor. And I've been into places and see how poor people is treated and how poor children are treated in school. How when you are poor, when you go to these hospitals, how they are treated in communities, in environment, everywhere the poor is treated without regard, without care, without feelings. But for me, I think it was a personal fight for me. And I think that for us to end it, each individual has to make it a personal fight, personal struggle. That gives them reason to slow it down. We can slow it down for our generation. And it's not something that where you can stop. You achieve what you wanted and then you said, okay, you don't have to stop fight. With poverty, you never stop fighting till you die. Because there's always something out there want to take something from you. And life has weird ways of testing us.
Very true.
Mhm. Something is always coming. You have nothing, you have less fight. You have something, you have more fight. Because somebody wants what you got. So it never stops. The fight never
Yeah.
stops.
So, Annalise, if you think back, like I just read your recent story on about your life and growing up poor and not eating sometimes breakfast, lunch, and dinner, any of it. And yet you still kept going. You still went to school and you still learned. What motivated you from early childhood to keep going? Do you think that was just an internal drive of survival, of keep going, or was there something else? And um, how you think we can help other people to do the same thing that you have done, to want
Okay.
to want to get out, to keep going?
The pain, the pain and the shame stays with you. And
Mhm,
as a child, I remember there was one occasion when I had no breakfast and lunch. And there
mhm,
was so much pain inside of me, and I keep throwing up, but it was just water. I didn't eat anything, so there was nothing to come out.
mhm.
Because for me, pain is my motivator. Pain is like my guidance. Pain is a reason why I do a lot of stuff. Because I don't want those things. anything to happen.
Yeah.
So pain will show me that if you do this, that's gonna happen. So I don't do it again. But I know life. You don't know death, and you are alive. And I just want it better. You know,
Mhm.
that's it for me. I just want it better. I don't want to. Going to school many times with poor children in school doesn't go to school looking good because here we
Mhm.
wear uniform. So sometimes the shoes look terrible. The bag is terrible. You don't have books because I found out I was poor when I was in the second grade when it was Christmas. And I remember we picked names for children that we were going to buy gifts for. And
Yeah.
I remember her name. And that was more than 40 years ago, almost 50 years ago. And I picked her name. And I remember my mother wrapped a brown ball, a dirty ball in a brown paper and gave it to me. And I remember her gift was glass, a three-tier glass set. And when the teacher saw what I was giving and what I was getting, she took away that brown thing that my mother wrapped and she tore it open. And when she saw what in it, she threw it in the
Mhm.
garbage and she shamed me in front of the class. And that's when I found out I was poor. And that hurt.
I can't even imagine. I remember hearing that story before and just reading it again, I believe yesterday, and I just can't even imagine how that must have felt as a child, you know. And I just wish that teacher would have been kinder or come up with like a different type of solution, you
No,
know.
she did me something good. She
Mhm.
showed me something that nothing else could. We became friends.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, I never forgot her. Her name was Miss Jones. We became friends. And
Mhm.
when she realized, I think she found out what happened. And when she realized, after that, every help I need, she was there. So I was
Mhm.
glad that
Mhm.
that showed me that I was poor. And when I look at
Mhm.
that, I didn't want that. I
Mhm.
want something better, and I don't wish for that to happen to any child. So
Absolutely.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm what she did. She taught me something. And I did everything I could to make sure that that does not happen to my children.
Mhm.
'Cause when you grow up with so much pain, the pain never leaves. And how you handle it, and you use that and said, pain caused me this. I'm not going to do it. So
Mhm.
pain can be a guide. And pain helps me to stay out of poverty. And pain shows me a lot of ways to live and how to be different and how to slow it down. It's
And we
it's
are
good.
talking both physical and emotional pain
All of
or
it.
Mhm.
Everything. Everything. Because nobody likes pain. And if I'm gonna do this and it's gonna bring me pain, then why do it?
Yeah.
So there are lots of life decisions that you have to make that keeps you out of poverty. Because growing up in a country where opportunities are hard,
Mhm.
everything is limited. So you have to be smart. So if you get an opportunity, you have to be smart enough to ensure that you give your best so it can last,
Mhm.
and you do your best. And then if you find yourself with money, you have to learn money management. So for me, I think economical. So thinking economical give me the power to plan and learn money management early. So I am wise in that area.
Mhm.
And slowing down poverty, you don't have to own 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 houses. You just have to make sure that, for me, it's simple living.
Mhm.
You just have to make sure that my life is good. I can pay my bills. I don't owe anyone. So I
Mhm.
make it really simple. I can eat 2 or 3 meals a day. And if I sick, I can find the money to go to the doctor.
Mhm.
And I don't have to be begging and borrowing anybody. So getting out of poverty is simple for me. And ensure that my children has better opportunity and can able to live better. So for me, and I have a couple sisters and brother who slows down poverty and make sure that their children have all that they didn't have. Because I had a
Mhm.
lot of dreams as a child. but there was no way to fulfill it. So I made sure that my children's dreams can come true. And that's success for me. And it's up to them to keep that going for their children. So if every individual can take poverty personal and fight to
Mhm.
slow it down for their generation, it can stop.
So what is it that people could do? Like, what advice could you give people what to
For
do?
me, for me, it's my thinking. I've
Mhm.
studied my life, my environment, where I am, and I find ways that would continue poverty. And my culture, here in my country, I find that a lot of money is spent on looking good instead of living good.
Mhm.
Money that should save to help children. Um, Looking good is the top of the line for my country for a lot of
Mhm.
females and males. People rather know that, okay, for me, I'm not going to buy a car and live in a rent house. That doesn't make sense
Mhm.
because cars is liability. Having a home, the property value goes up.
Yeah.
You buy a car, you drive it off the lot, the value goes down.
Mhm.
So you real estate, get somewhere to let. Living economically, for me, um, I cook. My children
Yeah.
are in school. I buy food and I have them taking lunch. There's a lot
Mhm.
of common sense things where in my culture where everything is limited, there are lots of ways where you can find to slow down poverty.
Mhm.
Um,
I just want to say we had a comment from Richard. Thank you so much for the comment. He's saying that his travels with Teresa internationally to the poorest and most wounded showed him that suffering is grace. Um, I know for me, growing up, I just know that there were certain things that we could afford or certain things that we could not afford. You know, like going to the grocery store, you would buy the cheaper meat, for example, or cheaper cheese, or not buy it, or just have bread with just butter, and that's breakfast. I feel fortunate that I never remember hunger, you know, and you can't even imagine children going hungry, and that breaks my heart that that does happen in the world. You know, I wonder if part of it is education for people,
right.
like even for in some countries and some cultures and some religions, they just keep having children, 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 even if you can't feed the children. And I would hate to say for somebody not to have a child, but if you can't feed the child, you know, then it becomes like this very difficult circle. Like, um, yeah, I don't know what your thoughts about that.
I think that's one of the biggest destruction here. That
Hmm.
sex education is not taught
Hmm.
in homes. And my mother had six, and she couldn't afford to raise them. And I
Hmm.
think that's one of the problems here, where persons having children that they can't afford to feed, they can't afford to take care of.
Yeah.
And I think that that is something that should be started from the home, where you have one child, the situation is bad. You have another one, the situation did not improve. You have another one. That is what's happening in my country, where a lot of these women keep having children without a plan, without
Hmm.
thinking that this child might have hopes and dreams,
Yeah.
you know? And here in my culture, this is what happened. A lot of these women are having children, not thinking, without regard or care, saying, how am I going to provide for this child?
Yeah.
And it's a cycle. And some of it is cultural, where people think it's okay to have out your lot or be
Hmm.
fruitful and multiply because that's what the Bible said. But bringing children in the world to suffer, it hurts. It is pain.
Yeah.
So that has to be a personal thing too.
Absolutely. I um I think it's different when if like there's a disaster strike and you know and people need help to be taken care of because they lost their home, lost their crops, all those type of things. but then knowingly, do you think the people just not realize what's happening or oblivious to it? Or I I I get so many letters asking for money for to feed children, and my heart breaks, but I just feel like I can't keep giving. Like there's like a limit to that as well, because if you keep feeding the like it's a contradictory thing. You keep feeding the children, and people are going to keep having children that they can't feed because you feed them. Like, and how you do that? Like, I don't know if there's a solution, but it's painful to see. I agree.
Um, as I said, it has to be a personal thing for you.
Hmm.
Because my experience growing up, I'm not gonna put my children through that.
Hmm.
And it's something that you have to want.
Yeah.
And what I find out that I think one of the greatest problem in our world is a lot of people are unaware of their decision. They are unaware of the life they live in.
Hmm.
And what is shocking is even with the pain, they are still not aware that what they are doing is taking their lives chaos. They are adding chaos to the world. Because
Hmm.
I know a lot of women who I'm not supposed to judge, but the condition that you are in, you don't keep bringing children in the world because they are still suffering.
Hmm.
And it has to be personal, Gabriel. A lot of them are not aware. I think one of the greatest problem in our world now is people are not aware of what is really happening.
Hmm.
And being aware is power, and it gives you the power to make better decisions. Because seeing what my mother went through with 6 children, and
Yeah.
all of my life, seeing how the pain stays with you and all of what I go through. I'm not going to put that to my child. I'm aware. I have family members who's not aware, and history repeat. What my mother did is repeated to their children. So when you are not aware, history is going to repeat itself, good and bad. So being
That's true.
aware is power. So because I was aware, I'm able to make a difference. Those who are unaware can't make a difference. So the cycle of pain and poverty is going to continue.
Absolutely. Um, I remember working in an addiction floor where we had pregnant women, and it was really difficult for me to. And many of them, they didn't have housing. They were poor. We had them there because they were addicted to a substance, unfortunately. So they were addicted to heroin or cocaine or methamphetamine, and they get pregnant. And it was really hard for me to wrap my head around that they are not pregnant first. They are addicted to a substance first. And the
Mhm.
pregnancy was an accident. They were not planning. They didn't want the child. But then that child was still being born, but then it was taken away from the mom and given to the system to raise. And it was just like so difficult for me to understand that they don't want the child, or they are not able to raise the child. And some of them would want the child, but the government wouldn't let them have it because they were not sober. Some woman was able to get sober and get their children back, but see that we come across women who were pregnant 15, 16 times. And and it was really difficult to see. And this is not trying to be judgmental. It was just difficult to see as a healthcare professional, seeing this
Yep,
woman keep going through this cycle and being in poverty, being in addiction, and but also not capable of taking care of their children, yet keep bringing the children to the
unaware,
world. And
unaware.
it's really interesting also looking at generationally, looking back that people, at least in my family and many families I know, there's lesser children. So like, my grandparents had 3 children. My mom had 2 children. I had 2 children. My on my father's side, I have 3 sisters. 2 of the sisters have 2 children, 2 children. So they have like it's coming. kind of down. But then
Nobody
in
are
some
winning.
countries and some cultures, it's keep going the same, you know?
Um, from my experience and see how children suffer,
Mhm.
I I beg my children, get a life, live a life before you become responsible for one. Do
Mhm.
not bring any children in the world to suffer.
Mhm.
Um, in my culture, if you are 16, 17, 18, and have no children, you're called a mule. They are mocked. You are ridiculed. And I don't get it because what a 17-year-old should not have a child.
Yeah.
And I think one that is one of the causes in my culture why we have so many crime is out of control while young people, the young people are
Mhm.
having children and children are having children and they can't teach children what they don't know. You know, I tell my children, don't bring any children in the world to suffer. You
Mhm.
don't owe anybody anything. You can't afford to take care of them. Don't have them.
Yeah.
I'm straight up with my kids because
Mhm.
I am the kind of mother who is there. Maybe it's for some mothers, one day for them is 24 hours. My day goes longer than 24 hours. My week goes longer than 7 days, and my month goes longer than 30 days. I'm on the job
Mhm.
and I make sure I'm there to make sure that if they do something wrong, I say, don't do that. So I'm the mother who is there. And I
Mhm.
let them know if you have a child and you want success for your child, you have to be a part of your children's life. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the problems here in my culture where many parents are not a part of their children's life. I
Mhm.
grew up with my sons. I went back to 12. I went back to 13. I went back to 14. We went through puberty together because my life was impatient. I didn't get to go through puberty, but I
Mhm.
went through it with my sons. So we grew up together. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. And I think that is one of the problems in our world where parents don't spend a lot of time with the children, you know? And I had a lot of fun because I go back to whatever age they are and I understood why they do the stuff they do. And we grew up together. Because, you know, as parents, if you don't do it now, you have to go, you're going to do it later. And I am
Yeah.
not raising any child in my 50s or 60s. So, but you know, poverty still hurts because you are trying to stop it and to see it. And a lot of people are unaware that they are poor. And I'm thinking, limited opportunities, being hungry all the time, to be fighting like all the time. Shouldn't that wake up somebody?
So why you think that is? Why you think that there's still so much poverty with all the knowledge and experience and
Unaware,
education and resources we
unaware,
have? There's still so much poverty.
unaware, unaware. And I think a lot of people take pain for granted. I take pain personal. So
Mhm.
my mistakes are never repeated. When I make a mistake and I'm in pain, I'm not going back there. So I think
Mhm.
some people take pain personal and some take it for granted. It's okay, it's only pain. They'll get over it. And they keep repeating the same thing. And a lot of times by the time they wake up, they are 50, 60, 70, and there's nothing. And I see life unfolds here in my culture.
Mhm.
So everybody's life is my manual. So I
Yeah.
learn not only from them, but I learn from everybody. And I know if I do what you do, the same thing's going to happen to me. So it's the power of awareness. For me, it's the power of awareness.
So how you think we can help other people become more aware?
I don't think we can. I think you have to help yourself. You have to
Mhm.
want. You have to don't want. Okay, for example, with your ankles, now you have something to do. You're in pain. You have a choice. You can go and get your job done and bear the pain or stay home and relax. It's up to you. That's your decision. And I
Mhm.
think as I have written that your life is your decision and your decision is your life.
Mhm.
So it's up to you. You have to want. You have to want it. You have to want not to be poor. You have to want to be healthy. And all the good things that everybody wants, you have to want it. And when you
Mhm.
want it, you work for it. And then you'll get it. But otherwise, life is not going to wait on any of us.
Yeah. Yeah, you just keep going no matter what.
You have to go out there and find what you want and get what you want and fight for what you want and work for what you want. And the best part of it is that while you're working and fighting, you're learning so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
So poverty is your personal battle, your personal
Mhm.
struggle, your personal thing. Pain
Yeah,
is personal for me. I don't take pain for granted because just being my race alone is a lot of pain. So why add pain to your life?
yeah. I just want to read just a tiny segment from our book, The Invisible Lines of Poverty. And this is from the first section, the inevitability of material poverty. And I wrote a little editorial in this that says, poverty to me, it is someone not being able to meet basic needs of their body and mind. And I would add to that also spiritually, because I think that also an important part. The most essential element is to feed our bodies with water and food to gain nourishment to survive. Poverty can also mean the lack of additional basic needs like a place to sleep, clothes to wear, and water to clean ourselves. There are additional levels of poverty relating to the mind. The lack of knowledge and enriching experiences can be called poverty. As a nurse, I have seen poverty creating a lack of additional basic needs like medications to cure illness. Poverty can cause unwanted suffering to the body and the mind. And I think I just keep coming back to that. Poverty can happen because of the parents are not aware that we talked about, but it can also happen because of governments. It can happen because of natural disasters. It can happen, people can lose everything and all of a sudden they don't have anything. And hopefully they are able to come out of it, but it might not be easy depending on what resources, what support is available or not available. But I have heard about countries, and I don't know how it is in your country, but I heard a friend recently was telling me about a country that you can go visit and live there, but if you need medical, you need to have money. You could be dying and you're not taken care of. If you don't have any money, people just leave you to die.
The same here.
And is that like there too? Yeah.
Same here. You're poor, you're dead. You can't afford to
Yeah.
pay your bills. Poverty has a positive side, but it depends on your thinking.
Mhm.
Depends on how you think because poverty forces me to stay healthy.
Mhm.
So I am healthy where I don't have to keep going to the doctor.
Yeah.
So it it's a mindset thing too because poverty teaches me so much stuff. I'm healthy
Mhm.
thanks to poverty. I think economically, I'm good with finances, and I make a lot of decisions positively because I know the consequences of poverty. So
Mhm.
it's also a mindset thing too. But yes, it's the same here. If you don't have the money, you're on your own. Because every time you do read the paper, there's somebody need financial help. There's a girl in the star, she's gonna lose her eye, and it's 3.5 million. This my country doesn't. No, the government does the minimum. It's up
Mhm.
to you to be smart and save your money. Because a lot of Jamaicans they leave here. Some come back, some don't. But there's good and bad in everything,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter where you live. Because even a lot of Jamaicans living in other countries worldwide, they miss the food here.
Mhm.
They miss the natural, they have something that they miss. But
Mhm.
it's up to them to determine if they want to come back or not. So a lot of people come back here. They come back here when they can afford to, if they have a medical issue and they can afford it. But that's life,
Yeah.
you know? That is life. But as I said before, poverty is a personal thing. You take it personal and then you make a difference and then you change that. but it has to be personal.
But also, if you're able to change it, like people who are suffering because there's war, for example, it's really hard to get out of that, right?
Yep.
If your home is destroyed, if your neighborhood, if your family, friends destroyed, and then it can be really difficult to get out of that situation. Um, Julio, thank you for joining, and Jack and Richard, if you guys have any questions or any addition to the topic, we are talking about poverty, and we are talking about the Invisible Lines of Poverty, which is the book we published together with Annelise and I think 10 other additional writers, and we are talking about um, poverty and its implications for the person and also for society, because I think there is there's some kind of responsibility, like for education or somehow to inform the people, because I think if people don't have like basic education, then it might be really difficult to get out of poverty. I don't know what your thoughts on that.
For here in my culture, you have to pay. It's not
Mm-hmm.
free. Our education is not free.
Mm-hmm.
Children begin school at 3 years old. You have to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's basic school. Then there's primary schools where children begins at 6. You have to pay for that too. It's not free. Then in high school, that has to be paid for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, our high school, it's different. It's how it's set up. It's different. You have poor school and you have school that are heavily funded. So the old boys or the old girls will fund these schools and help children who need it. Our government has a program that they call PATH, where the government pays the school fee and a whole bunch of other stuff. But children in that area is marginalized and stereotyped because they are on PATH. So our world really makes it horrible for poor people,
Mm-hmm.
especially here. They makes it really bad for the poor. And once these children are on PATH in some schools, I volunteered as a aide, and there was a child on PATH and didn't want anybody to know. She come to school and take no lunch, and she eats nothing. She did not want anyone to know she was on PATH, and she came every day and eat nothing.
Or people would know from the lunch, or because
Because PATH children, lunch is bought into them. For lunch, the teacher has to say who is on PATH, and the name sends, and their lunch
oh,
comes. And it's everywhere. So the poor is really treated horrible, and that's one motivation for me to get out of it.
hmm.
But
Well, you
education,
see, it'd be nice if all children just be provided lunch, and then there wouldn't have to be, yeah,
no,
that
it's not
discrimination against.
right.
Um, which just reminded me what you mentioned earlier about women kind of being discriminated against if they don't have children at such a young age when they are still a child at 16, 17. Um, in my culture too, when I grew up, it was like kind of speaked upon if somebody didn't have a child young, not as young as in your culture in Jamaica, but like 18, 19, 20, you're supposed to have a child. If you're older, it's like, why don't you have a kid? And it's like, well, maybe somebody's not ready or not the right circumstance or all those things. But it's really interesting how the cultural influences
Yeah, that
contribute to
play
poverty, because if people have children before they can afford them or take care of them, obviously that's not a good situation.
right. That's not good. But I think a lot of emphasis is not placed on education here from
Yeah.
my culture. I think
Mhm.
with more education, more because um people are surviving without an education. So a lot of emphasis isn't placed on it. But I think education is one of the best doors out of poverty. Because with
Yeah.
education, more opportunities are available for you.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that plays a vital role too. Education cannot stand alone, but it's good to have it because the doors in other countries are open once you are educated. The doors are open in other Caribbean countries and other countries worldwide. So education is vital. But
Absolutely.
as I said again, you have to want it.
Yeah. I feel fortunate that I grew up in a country where you didn't have to pay for education. Um, in Hungary, we didn't have to,
That's
but
good.
it's interesting that so many countries you do. I know here in the US, it's really difficult for childcare. Childcare is very expensive. And many times now, both the men and the woman have to work to make ends meet, and the children have to go to childcare
Hmm.
or preschool, especially if there's no extended family. And that's really expensive. So many people that I know make decisions not to have children or not to have more than one child because they simply cannot afford it.
To me, that's a wise decision because
Hmm.
I'm telling you, my life growing up as a child, I don't want to repeat that on any child.
Yeah. You don't want your children to go hungry.
No, I don't
Yeah.
want my children to go
Suffer.
through what
Yeah.
I went through. I have dreams and
Yeah.
nothing to grow them. And for me, I think that I am the one feeling my pain. So my life decision is going to be my own. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what culture said or what the world said, because
Hmm.
when we are in pain, we are the only one feeling it. So if the culture said I'm supposed to have 10, oh, am I going to live? Oh, I'm the one feeling my pain. So my life decision should be my own, not society, not what anybody else thinks.
Absolutely. And I think also I think judgment is a big thing in this too, because if we stop judging people and just let them be however they want to be, that would, I think, also help poverty. But there's so much judgment against culture and religion
That,
just how even people behave. I remember um, few people who didn't want to have children, being judged. And also, I was judged when I had my second child. I had people saying, "Why you have another child?" It's like, well, because I want to. you know, it's like people judge you if you don't have children. People judge you if you have children. If you have more than one children. If you have too many children. It's like people can have 10 children. That's fine if they can take care of them. But if you can't take care of them, then don't have them. But also don't judge people who don't want to have them because that is also fine. It's just a very interesting cycle, these judgments.
that's one of the reasons why I go back to saying that all of my life decision, I'm the one paying for it.
Hmm.
So your opinion doesn't matter. I'm the one
Yeah.
paying for my life decision. So I have five or I have four or I have one. It doesn't matter. I'm the one paying. You are the one paying for all of your decisions. So their opinion really has no value. If your decision is good, good. If your decision
Yeah.
is bad, you're paying for it. And then your generation pays with you.
Yeah.
So,
But sometimes, like here, if the children is taken away because a mother or father cannot take care of them, like because of addiction or other kind of things, then we all pay for it because it comes from our taxpayer dollars, as
oh,
well. I don't know if there's anything like that in Jamaica, but we have that
uh,
here that if it's reported, especially if a children is abused or hungry or not being taken care of, then the government takes them and they go to foster care.
it's a lot is changing here. But as
Mhm.
children, they slapped us.
Mhm.
'Cause, I mean, I got a lot of beatings from my mother, which wasn't because I was a bad child, was because I paid for what my father did to her.
Mhm.
I don't hit my children. On one occasion, I have four, and three of them I had to slap, and each of them is just once.
Mhm.
Once, just once. And
Mhm.
the other day, my son was saying I'm the only child that he's the only one I haven't slapped. But I, 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 I did the opposite of everything that was done to me because how I felt and what
Mhm.
I went through, I didn't want my children to feel that way.
Yeah.
So I made sure that I don't do what was done to me. So in my culture, we don't have a lot of children homes, but the children
Mhm.
who go into these homes are children who, not children who need help, children who gives a lot of trouble, a grandmother or someone takes the child and help the child. That's the good part of it.
Yeah.
That is changing now because grandmothers are in their 30s here. Yes,
Wow.
yes. So people are having children younger, and a lot of these children a lot of these females are still children and not
Yeah.
being able to teach their children stuff. So we are having a lot of problems with children, even in schools, because you're having a child at 17 and you are not finished grown up. You can't teach that child stuff. So all of that is changing here now. Grandmothers are no longer in their 40s and 50s, and grandmothers has to work. So a lot of children are being left alone now.
Hmm.
So they are raising themselves. And by doing that, we are having a lot of problem in schools and in communities because of that. And all of that goes back to poverty.
Absolutely. I remember now that you were just saying again, women or young girls having children so young that somebody's a grandmother at 30. I remember many, many years ago, I read an article about a girl who got pregnant at age 9. And that was unimaginable. Like, I couldn't figure
Yeah.
out how is it that even happened. Of course, she was assaulted, but I just can't imagine, like, why would that be, for women having children younger and younger? I think that's like a societal problem, is like lack of education, lack of support for those young females to be able to make a decision on
Yeah.
their life choices. And also education for men too. It's not just for women. I think both men and women need
Hmm.
education about it.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have any means or support to bring a child to life, you might want to wait until you do, until be able to support your children so your children don't have to go to bed hungry.
For me, I think sex education, for me, I started it at 9 with my children. And I think that's in my culture, it should be a part of everything. Sex
Hmm.
education should be taught at home, not in schools. In my culture, I learned it in 6th grade in primary school, and I was almost 12.
Wow.
And with sex education, it helps because there was last year, I think, the child was 14 and she died in childbirth.
Oh,
And I'm
just the
thinking,
child herself too.
Gabrielle, it hurt the entire country. It hurt. No 14-year-old should die in childbirth.
Yeah.
Education should be implanted in that child's mind from 9 because that's when the body starts to change.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with poverty too. So poverty is really destructive. And it's a lot of people are not aware. And that mother has to be raising that child. Can you imagine dying at childbirth at 14, 15?
So young. I mean, but that's part of it too, that the female body is not fully developed yet. So, it takes longer for the body to develop as well. And yeah,
There's so much contribution to poverty,
yeah,
a whole lot of contribution. And the lack of knowledge and the lack of education is, I think, the most powerful. Unawareness
absolutely.
is also our unawareness of self and life is also another contribution to poverty. How we live here. A lot of people contribute to their poverty.
Hmm.
Not planning also contribute to poverty because here, oh gosh, Gabrielle, a lot of people don't plan. A lot of elderly have to be on the street. It's crazy. So as I said, poverty, it has to be a personal thing where you take it personal, take the pain personal, and then you fight to stay out of it.
Absolutely.
So this book
Yes.
Poverty is not, and the lines are not invisible. And if you are aware, you got to be aware. You got to bite, you got to read it. There's so much stories in here concerning poverty and ways in which we can slow it down. But you have to take it personal. It's a personal fight, a personal struggle. Just like you take your success personal, you take your car, you take your family, take poverty personal and fight
Mhm.
to slow it down for your generation and ensure that their generation keep fighting to stay out of it because there's too much pain in our world. And poverty is one of
Absolutely.
the biggest contribution to the pain and the decisions that we make.
Very true.
And it hurts. I mean, poverty is pain for me.
I think it's painful for a lot of people. They might just not be able to articulate it, or they are so lost in it because they just fight just for survival, every way they can, that they might not see the way out of it, and or might not have the belief that they can get out of it.
Well, that one is true too, because I go to the market like sometimes 3 times per week. The
Hmm.
market is in a violent area, and I have people there selling for 30 years. Every
Hmm.
day going to the market, you're risking your life. A lot of people don't come to Kingston. They do not go downtown because the area is violent. In a minute, sporadic violence erupt and everybody has to be running. And when I go there, seeing people there selling for 10, 20, 30 years, I'm thinking, why would I risk my life to do this?
To survive.
Exactly. So I go back to thinking. It's their thinking.
Hmm.
I know a lady that sells there, and that's how she pays her daughter money to go to college, so she doesn't have to owe student loans. And she
Hmm.
goes to the market and she risks her life for 10, 20, 30 years. And her daughter finished college and she doesn't owe any money. So, but for me, it's different for everyone. And your
Yeah.
journey, your personal thing. And if it works for you, fine. If that way works for you, that's okay. But everybody has their own way. Find a system and work it for you. But it's still personal for me. Poverty is personal for me. So I take it personal. I take pain
Especially, I
personal.
mean, you have a lived experience of it. Um, I My mom told me a story that's also in the book about when there was a revolution in Hungary, and then there was no food, and my grandmother had a gold earring and was trying to give her gold earring to the neighbors who had potatoes, and they wouldn't give her a potato to feed my mother. So they had to escape to the country, to the in-laws, because they had a garden so they could feed the family, and they took
Okay.
multiple day journey because the train would only go so far, and then they took um, a wagon, and then they walked, my grandmother with a baby, because there was just no food, and no food in the city because of the revolution that was happening in 56 in Hungary. So I can't even imagine, but I mean, people have to do what they have to do. And my grandmother did what she had to do. She left her life to provide for my mom.
Okay.
She didn't know how she was going to get to the country, but she got to the country somehow. And, they had food, and my mom grew up, even though there was not everything, of course, but she made it. So I just feel horrible for the people who I feel like didn't have a choice of because of wars, or because of governments, or because of just a way of life, that all of a sudden they have nothing, or they don't have anything to eat, or don't have clothes to wear, or don't have a roof over their head. And I just really hope that The helping hands are there when it's needed. I know it's not enough. I know you mentioned in the beginning it's not enough. And then there's an individual need to get out of it, of course. But I
Hmm.
think also when you are in poverty, it's a kind of trauma. So you're continuously reliving that trauma, like the woman you told me that she's risking her life to sell for her daughter's education. Um, when your brain is traumatized, you might not be able to get out of it,
It,
you know?
for me, I think you have to know you are poor. And um, well, my country is blessed. On every property, there are fruit trees.
Hmm.
Here, you can go over there and get some akis. You can come over here and get a breadfruit. There's always food somewhere. Food is
Hmm.
in the country more than in the city.
Hmm.
Now, a lot of trees are being cut down for various reasons. But as a child growing up years ago, that was in the 60s and the 70s for us.
Hmm.
It was different. I think my mother lacked certain resources because for me, I learned to cook, I learned to bake, I learned to make everything I can eat. So my kids are never hungry. So I don't have to buy stuff. I can make
Yeah.
them. I can make everything from scratch. I can make
Hmm.
pizza from scratch. So I
Yeah.
learned to make I learned to make everything. So food is not as expensive for me as it is. My mother lacked that. But then having
Yeah.
so many children, so I think you have to know that you are poor.
Hmm.
And if you know you're poor, then you can do something about it. But not knowing it, you sit in it for generations.
Do you think there's anything else we can do besides what we talked about to help us or support those people who don't maybe recognize that they can get out of poverty or recognize that they are in poverty and support them in any way to get out of it, to be able to provide for their children if they choose to have children? I know it's a really big question and it's, a lot of very smart people probably think about these kind of things. But just because I didn't have that. I mean, we had living paycheck to paycheck type of a, deal, but I never had the experience of being hungry. And my heart bleeds, especially for children, but for anybody, but especially for children who go hungry. And I just wish there could be something done. So that doesn't happen in today's world. We shouldn't have children going hungry. So,
That's what I say. I say that every day children should not be suffering. Children should not be hungry. But as I've been fighting myself to find a way. And the only conclusion I come with, you have to fight it. It has to be personal. In every human life, every human who have achieved success, there was a fight. They take something personal. They took the bulls by the horn and they achieve what
mhm,
they want. You have to do that with poverty. You have
yeah.
to make it personal. And poverty takes you deep. Poverty teaches a lot of lessons, but for me, I had to go deep within myself. And
Hmm.
that fight has to come from deep within each individual. You have to take it personal. And it has to be an individual thing where you want it. You want a better education? Okay. You
You
want
go
to
get
end
it.
poverty? Go fight to end poverty. But it has
That's
to be
one thing
your
that I
person.
know for myself that I want to keep learning. And I still even, not just like university education, which I have, but also just keep learning different ways in life, even if it's gardening to grow something, to make sure that, if I can't buy it, then I have fruit trees. As you said, we have fruit trees in the property, or we have, herbs and plants to survive on, because you just never know what happens and what skills. I think a lot of skills we also forgot or didn't pass down to the next generation, survival skills, even.
Yeah, innovative. We have to use innovation to live
Hmm.
now. And the cost of food is crazy.
It's very expensive. Yeah.
So and here in my culture, when they're increasing the stuff, okay, the first week in December, I bought a tray of egg for $1,350. When I went last week, it's $1,750. So
Jamaican.
it's a $400
Yeah.
increase
Hmm.
in less than a month.
Yeah.
So here, food is taken out of the hands of the poor because there's no price control.
Well, we had similar here things here too. Eggs went up exponentially, and even just like I had a type of food that I liked, and I looked at 1 week, and then a month later, and it was $4 more expensive. So something that was like $5.99 went to $9.99, and I'm like, I'm not gonna buy it for that much. I'm just not buying it. I'm gonna go without it and gonna have something else. And we did go. I did when all the prices start to go up. We were like, okay, let's get a few big bags of beans, big bags of rice, because you can always have just beans and rice. So if the
Yeah,
prices go so crazy, we have our fruits that we saved and dehydrated and dried from the
you're
summer,
fine.
and vegetables
Yeah,
and herbs, and we have beans and rice. So you know,
you
you just
find
gotta
ways
do.
to live.
You
You
gotta
find
do.
innovative ways to live.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
here they increase the prices up to 300-400%,
Wow.
and nothing is done. Nobody stops anybody. So our country also contribute to our poverty.
Yeah.
So poverty is coming from so many directions. So the fight has to be your personal fight.
Yeah, and what are the things that you can do? Yeah.
You have to find a way, but it has to be personal. So if everybody who is poor take it personal, then maybe we can end poverty. But handouts and all of that, it hasn't
You need
worked
to do
yet.
more than that. I appreciate the programs. I know that there's some programs that actually teach skills to people or give animals to like chickens and goats and things like that. And they teach people how to use them to be able to, make a living. People who didn't have that opportunity or didn't learn from their parents. And I
Yeah.
do like those programs when they actually teach a skill or give an animal to help end
Okay.
poverty.
Well, I think some people get the help and stay out of it.
Hmm.
As I said, it goes back to your thinking. It's how you
Yeah.
think. And some people rather easy. I don't like easy
Hmm.
because easy become the hardest. So it goes back to taking it personal. Because once you take it personal, you can't stop. And that's where a lot of problem lies. People get comfortable and they stop. When they stop, it comes back. So you're alive. Life is a fight. Keep fighting. Take it personal. Take control. Well,
Absolutely.
that's for me, from my experience. If I had not taken control of my life and taken the pain of poverty personal, my children would not be, I would be worried about children. My life wouldn't be what it is now.
Hmm.
So it has to be a personal choice. And I'm praying, I am praying. I don't know.
Well, I really appreciate Annalise to coming on live and talk about this topic. It's a really difficult topic, and I really appreciate your input and experience in this. Again, for anybody who joined later or who watches later, I'm going to put some links. This will be on Substack, both of our Substack, and going to go to YouTube. We're
You
going to
gotta
link our
buy
book,
it.
The Invisible Lines of Poverty, which has amazing stories in it. And actually, we left spaces for comments and discussions. Our hope that this will kind of bring an awareness, a
Yeah.
more in-depth awareness, a more in-depth discussion. If anybody have questions or comments later on this, um, these stories that we shared or anything that we talked about, you can ask them in Substack or under the YouTube channel. Also, some clips will be shared on LinkedIn, and this airing will also be available on Spotify as well. And we hope that you're going to get our book and get involved in the conversation of poverty. It is it is for the person, but it's also a really big issue, societal issue as well. And even if we can't fix it per se, we can do small things. At least we can make sure that we take care of ourselves and our loved ones, and we educate our children, grandchildren about these topics and people we come across. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Annelise, for joining me in this conversation. Until we see you guys next time, have a wonderful day. Thank you for coming. Bye, everyone.